Good morning, Nachum. Good Erev Shabbos, everybody. Tomorrow we have the privilege of reading Parshas Beshalach. According to the Chinuch, there is but one mitzvah in Parshas Beshalach, and that is a restriction, and it happens to be mitzvah Chav Dalid, the 24th mitzvah in the Torah, which is we are not to go on Shabbos beyond the tchum, beyond the boundary, be it the boundary of a city in which a person lives, technical halachos of what tchum Shabbos is all about. But the idea behind it is, as the Chinuch explains, to remember that HaKadosh Baruch Hu created the world, and how do we demonstrate that by our inability to travel on Shabbos. I can't go, be it by horse, by foot, beyond a certain point on Shabbos. I am limited, which basically reminds us of man's limitation, which is the theme of Shabbos, that we are called upon, here comes a nice word for everybody, to testify. We stand for Vayichulu Hashemayim v'Oretz, because, and after the Shmona Esrei on Friday night, in the Beis HaKnesses, we say together, standing as Eidim, as witnesses, we are called to be a witness. I just want everybody to realize next time you go to a wedding, and they call up the two Eidei Kedushim, the two witnesses to stand under the chuppah to watch as the chassan puts the ring on the kala's finger. So there are so many halachos regarding who is qualified, who is not qualified to be an aid, a witness under the chuppah. And usually a Rav is honored with this position because, the two witnesses are the ones that are literally making the wedding. Yes, the chassan is putting the ring on her finger, but the witnesses are the ones that are witnessing the transition between her being in her father's domain, her own domain, or now into the chassan. So they are playing a very important role when they say mikudeshes, that literally she's now been transferred. Two witnesses. And you can only imagine how important these two witnesses feel as they are being called up. These two were selected among everybody to be those special witnesses. Each and every one of us tonight, this Friday night, and every other Friday night, when we recite the Kiddush, realize how important you are, that Hashem chose you and me. He chose us, that we should be witnesses to the fact that He created the world in 6 days. Okay, let's go into Parshas Beshalach. What an incredibly exciting Parsha, and it even has a name to it, Shabbos Shira. Most weekends, most Shabbos don't have a special name to the particular Shabbos. Shabbos Shira, because this is the Parsha in which Am Yisrael, the Jewish people, cross the Red Sea, and Az Yashir Moshe, then Moshe and the Jewish people sang Hashira Hazos Lashem, this song of thanksgiving, gratitude to Hashem, and we recite this Shira, this song, every single morning, weekday, and Shabbos, to conclude the Psukei de Zimra, the verses of praise, prior to the Shema and its brachos, right before we say the bracha of Yishtabach every day. We recite this Shira. Now, I believe that this past week was a special week for all of Klal Yisrael. I am privileged that a grandson of mine took place in this special mission of retrieving the body of Ron Gavili, a 24-year-old Israeli policeman who, while he had and was recovering from a shoulder injury, when he heard what happened on October 7th, he went on October 8th, and unfortunately, he did to the best of his ability, killed as many terrorists as he could, but he was killed on that day. So interestingly, he was one of the first to be killed in the war, and he was the last to be retrieved from the war in Gaza. Now, I can only tell you that the name of this mission was called Lev Amitz, which means brave heart, which shows Mi Ka'amcha Yisrael, who was like the Jewish people. That we're talking about up to 300 soldiers and at least 20 dentists working with them to check the dental records. But listen carefully. On October 8th, we killed more than 1,000 Hamas terrorists. These terrorists were buried by Hamas in a mass grave on October 8th. Approximately a few months ago, Israeli intelligence found out that there is a chance, they didn't know for sure, but there was a chance that Ron Gavili was buried among the hundreds of terrorists that were buried in Shajia, in Gaza, and as a result, whereas other missions had turned to be empty-handed, this one, after going through 250 bodies, imagine first of all, as I saw a picture of the site, the excavation site, meaning that they used bulldozers to remove the bodies out of the ground, and then our Jewish soldiers painfully went through each one. They were fortunate that after about 250 bodies, they found Ron Gavili in his police uniform, and the dental work confirmed his identity. Now, there's no question but that this filled all of Klal Yisrael with relief, with gratitude, with thanksgiving. It was a kind of healing, a kind of one aspect of closing of one tragic chapter in this story. And the idea is very clearly that Klal Yisrael could not take a step forward until each and every one was accounted for. Whoa. So first of all, it reminds us of Kol Yisrael Arevim Zebozeh. All Israel is responsible one for another in a very literal sense, but more than that, the Raftoli Mi Rubchitz, the Rebbe, understood Kol Yisrael Arevim, that one Jew and each one sweetens another. There's no question that there is this common joy and relief that all of Klal Yisrael felt this past week. My grandson was there when the name of the commander of the Israel Southern Command, his name is Yaniv Asor, a frum commander, said to the people, the boys, on Monday afternoon, fellas, do you realize what we read this morning in the Torah? Vayikach Moshe es atzmos Yosef imo, that Moshe took the bones of Yosef with him, as Yosef had directed and made the Jewish people swear that they would take his bones. Am Yisrael took it. So the Torah is not simply a history book, but it's a living Torah. It came true in our day. Vayikach Moshe es atzmos Yosef imo. Now let's take that further. How many extra words in the Torah? The answer is none. Vayikach Moshe took atzmos Yosef, the remains of Yosef, imo, with him. What do you mean with him? So the Gemara learns out from here, imo b'mechitzaso a halacha, that a tamei meis, someone who has come in contact with a dead body, can come into Machane Levia, this Machane Shechina Levia in Israel, that they can come into the camp of the Levites. Okay, but now, beyond that, what does the word imo mean? So the Klayokar says beautifully that the Gemara in Sota, Yud Gimel Amar Aleph, learns on this pasuk that Vayikach Moshe Asmos Yosef, the pasuk of Mishlei, chapter 10, pasuk 9, Chacham Leiv Yikach Mitzvos. Ooh, the one who is especially smart and intelligent, he does mitzvos. And what does that mean? Continues the Gemara, that all Israel were busy with the mitzvah of Bizui Mitzrayim, meaning to take the wealth of Egypt, because the rabbis tell us that the Egyptians bedecked their chariots and horses with jewelry. Hashem promised, afterwards, when they leave Egypt, they'll leave with great wealth. So this is exactly what happened. We leave with great wealth because we had the gold and silver. But the rabbis tell us that who is the real Chacham Leiv? Who is the real intelligent, smart one that did a mitzvah? And that is, while everybody else was doing a mitzvah, which is a relatively easy mitzvah, to take gold and silver, Moshe had a much more difficult mitzvah, and that is the mitzvah of getting the bones of Yosef. And Moshe does this because it's imo. Some things you take with you forever, and other things you leave behind. The kitchen sink or the new kitchen, and the new car, and the new everything else you leave behind. But one thing you don't leave behind are the maisim tovim. So Vayikach Moshe es atzmos Yosef imo. This is for Klal Yisrael a week of imo, that we have 300 soldiers that are looking for one Jewish body, teaching the entire, especially Jewish world, how precious Kever Yisrael is, teaching how important it is for the Jew to be buried in a Jewish cemetery, because too many people might say, what's the difference? Once you're dead, and once you're buried, you're buried. The answer is no. To be buried in a Jewish cemetery, we learned from Avraham Avinu, is an incredible schus, and therefore keep your antennas up, because lo aleinu, we live in a world today that people make decisions. I don't want to be a burden to my children. It's cheaper if the body is cremated. They don't have to stand out in the cold or in the heat at my grave. Whatever kind of foolish rationale that people have, it is wrong. And it's important that we spread the word to make sure that we have Kever Yisrael. And let me just say one more thing. Note, everybody has to wash on Shabbos. You don't have to necessarily wash during the week. You don't have to say Birkas HaMazon. Birkas HaMazon has 3 brachos from the Torah and 1 bracha from the rabbis. The 1 bracha from the rabbis is the last and 4th final bracha, Hatov HaMeitiv, which means that the dead of Beitar, approximately 1900 years ago, were given to be buried. For 2.5 years, the Romans, Yamach Shemam, would not allow the Jewish people to bury their dead. And the minimum number is, hold on to your hats, 100,000 or more. Wow, 100,000 or more were given to be buried. And the rabbi said this was such an important point that we have a bracha in the Birkas HaMazon every day to commemorate. As the Meshech Chochmah teaches us that HaKadosh Baruch Hu does miracles for us even in our exile. My friends, this past week, we were privileged to see Hatov HaMeitiv. We were privileged to see Hashem's goodness. I want you to know I went to shul Tuesday morning and in Eretz Yisrael, and the Chazan, a regular Jew, Baruch Hashem, davening in Beit Shemesh. When we came to the 5 psukim of Mizmor L'Souda, a blessing of and a prayer of thanksgiving to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, right? So what do we say in Pasuk 3? Du'u, you should know, everybody, that Hashem, Hu Elokim, Hu Osanu, He is the one who made us. V'lo anachnu. Now, how is the word v'lo, vav lamed, either aleph or vav? And the answer is both. It's a kri and a ksiv. It is written v'lo with an aleph. He made us and not ourselves. It's not we that do everything. It is He that enables us to do it. It is He that it is done through us. This is the Shira. The Shira is 19 psukim. The last pasuk is Kiva Sus Paro. When Paro and his army came, they were drowned. The Jewish people walked through the water, and whoa, that's the whole Shira. Why do we need the first 18 psukim? Says the Beis Halevi, the first 18 psukim are our way of saying thank you to Hashem that through us He was glorified. May we be privileged to keep glorifying Hashem's name throughout the world. We are good, unfortunately, forgive me for saying this, for disagreeing with one another. I don't like the word fighting, but we're disagreeing with one another. But we're also good when we work together. Baruch Hashem, Kol Yisrael Arevim Zeh Bozeh. One Jew sweetens for another. Wow, what a week. What a Shabbos of Shira. Shabbat Shalom to all.